Welcome to the Black Girl Burnout podcast. Kelley here, and today we are continuing our series this month, which is all about how to soften without falling apart. This episode today is going to be continuing that theme. We've talked about naming that oftentimes when we're in survival mode, softness is the first to leave us, and that softness is actually the answer. We then talked about how to stay soft while in a world that was requiring you to be in survival mode, how to stay out of survival mode long enough so it doesn't become an identity, and how to protect yourself and your identity and your softness while going through tough times. And this episode is really about boundaries that protect your humanity. We now know softness is the way forward, and we now know why it's so important, and that there are ways to make sure it doesn't become our whole identity with some practices to bring softness back into our world. But the bottom line is we also have to protect our emotional energy without shutting down. And the way we do that is by setting some real, firm, but loving boundaries around work, around media, around our relationships, in a way that's going to make us stay open and caring without taking on what's happening around you. If there's one line you take from this episode as its own kind of affirmation, it's this: I can take steps to protect myself and still stay connected. I want you to be able to stay open and caring without carrying everything, right? You can care, but you don't have to carry. And to that point, we're going to talk about tools to help you do that. Because the truth is, when we talk about how we're feeling, when you ask people just in general, how are you feeling? They will say things like, I'm exhausted. And that's because a lot of times we're simply carrying and absorbing too much. And it's not just the news, right? It's also your life. It's your family. It's your work. It's your community. It's your friendships. It's your partnerships. We're in a state of global grief, local crises, and personal responsibility, all mixing together at once. And the bottom line truth is, our nervous systems were not built to hold all of that. So how do we care and yet not carry everything? And the first kind of foundational mindset shift to circle around that lays the groundwork for all the tools I'm going to tell you about afterward is knowing the difference between absorbing and responding. So we want to be responders, but not absorbers. And what does that look like? Well, absorbing looks like taking on other people's emotions as your own. It has you feeling responsible for fixing and holding everything. It's doom scrolling in a way that leaves you completely dysregulated. It's having conversations that leave you feeling depleted or more drained than when you started them. Now let's contrast that with what it looks like to respond. Responding asks you to still be present, but you don't take ownership of what's happening in the moment. You get to witness someone's experience or some event without taking it on as your own. It also allows you to choose how and when you engage with something. So instead of just looking at something over and over and over again, it allows you to have care with limits. Compassion doesn't require absorption. And that's what I really want to make key as we move into tools. Because if you cannot accept that or begin to unpack that as a truth, then the tools are going to be really hard for you. But it is critical that you realize that you can be a compassionate person that doesn't absorb everything. And this is a big deal for Black women because Black women are absorbers. For so many of us, the way we feel connected is by taking on people's challenges, their pain, all the things that are going on. It is feeling responsible to fix everything. I cannot tell you how many times I see Black women still giving into the strong Black woman myth and jumping to get their cape and put it on and go save other people with problems that aren't their own. It also requires you to feel connected, to feel communal. Like you have to know what's going on at all times, all day long, 24/7. Otherwise, you're not supporting the community. You're not caring about a cause. Oftentimes, Black women are exhausted, and so much of their exhaustion is because they are absorbing people's emotions, feeling responsible for fixing everything, constantly looking at and consuming content that is dysregulating. I mean, it's no wonder we're tired. And as a former professional absorber, like couldn't nobody absorb like I could absorb? Changing and shifting to being a responder was uncomfortable. What do you mean? I can just witness someone be sad and not fix it, not feel like it's my sadness to fix. Are you kidding? I was born to fix things. What do you mean? I can actually put limits around my caring. I'm supposed to unconditionally love the following categories of people: my friends, my family, people I'm close to, my community. I'm supposed to care without limits. For so many years, I thought this was actually superhero work. I thought this is what it means to be a Black woman. And by accepting that truth, I also had to accept the other uncomfortable truths. That if I believed that was the only way to be a Black woman and be down for the community and down for humanity at large, that also meant then that I need to accept that I'm going to have heart disease and diabetes by a certain age, that I was going to be always tired, that I was going to always feel like I was in non-reciprocal relationships where I was giving and not getting, and that's what love was. There were a lot of hidden agreements in that contract to be a strong Black woman. If that's where you are, I want to invite you to put down the need to absorb, to carry, and to pick up caring by being a responder. And if you are in the space where you're like, I'm ready or this feels right, here's some tools I want to give you. The first set of tools is all around nervous system regulation. This is about you acknowledging and knowing within your body when you are absorbing or carrying what isn't yours to carry. So it's about getting really clear in your body about where you feel tension. Let's say you're watching something disturbing on the news. Where is this showing up in my body is the question you want to ask. Do I feel tightness in my chest, or do my shoulders hunch up? And then it's asking things like, is this mine to carry? And this one's hard because sometimes we could think what's not ours to carry means we don't care. You can still care and not carry. And the way we do that is by asking the other question. Once we say, oh no, this isn't mine to carry, the next question needs to be, then what am I responding to in this moment versus what am I absorbing? So is my temptation to spiral out, be upset, yell and scream, or then go down a rabbit hole of consuming content over and over again about said topic? That's absorption. Or is it to be a responder, which might mean maybe I look up a local community center or services and maybe I donate to a cause I care about. Or maybe I have a conversation with someone where we brainstorm ways we can care but not carry all of what we just witnessed. Do you see that difference? And since we're still on the nervous system regulation pieces and what's going on in our body, I want you to remember that there are certain signs that let you know you're in absorption phase. You're carrying what isn't yours to carry. And those things can be like tightness in your chest, racing thoughts, feeling like everything is urgent, like you just feel this energy to do. And it can be the other end of the spectrum. It can be complete emotional exhaustion, being numbed out, not feeling much of anything. All of those things are signs that you are absorbing versus responding. And being able to determine that is so important because awareness is the first boundary to set. So what do you do when you feel like you're absorbing in your body? Simple things. You can do box breathing. That's 4 breaths in, hold for 4, 4 breaths out. I like a variation of this where I breathe in for 7, I count to 7, I hold for 4, and I breathe out big, loud exhales, and I count to 8. That's it. It can be that simple. give yourself permission to breathe and reset. While there is a lot of nervous system regulation tools that you can use, there's like 5-minute videos on YouTube. It doesn't have to be long. I suggest you Google them. They will help you reset your nervous system so that you're not absorbing. You can move into a space of responding. And that's where I want to spend some time for the rest of the episode talking about, which is how to set really good external boundaries, like actual boundaries that are observable to others, because this is really where people struggle. They know they shouldn't absorb, but they don't know how to stay connected without overextending themselves. And so I want to give you some language. I want to give you some tools to help you train yourself in how to be someone who is present, but not overextending. And you can do this in a few different ways, right? You can limit the amount of time you are spent in witness mode, observing someone's pain or hearing someone's pain. And I know that initially can feel like it's being insensitive, but I want to remind you that the only way to stay present and connected is by putting limitations. It's the only way. So yes, you may feel bad saying to a friend, I only have 10 minutes today. I'm running out the door, or I have to leave. You may feel a little guilty about that, but think about what it will be like if you listen for 4 hours today, but then ignore them or pretend to be sick or duck out and ghost for the next 2 weeks when this person needs you or is having a struggle. Wouldn't it be better to be able to give them that 10, 15 minutes in short bursts, but regular ones, than to have them trauma dump on you for 4 hours and then disappear for 6 weeks because you're exhausted? So I like to say, tell people at the outset, particularly if there's someone who's draining or maybe they're just going through something that is hurting your heart. Let them know, I'm so glad to hear from you, but I want to let you know I got to jump. That manages their expectations. It doesn't feel like you're pulling the rug from underneath them. And it also gives you permission to limit how much time you stay witnessing pain.
Let's talk about something too many of us carry in silence: money. The fear, the shame, the confusion, the pressure to hold it all together when it feels like everything is falling apart. Debt, divorce, caregiving, trying to stretch one check into two. Financial stress doesn't just drain your bank account, it drains your spirit. But you don't have to figure it out alone. There's a place where you can lay that burden down and get real help: the Savvy Ladies Helpline. It's free. Yes, free. You'll be matched with a certified financial expert for a private one-on-one session, someone who will listen without judgment and help you take the next right step. You can ask the hard questions. How do I start building wealth even if I've made mistakes? How do I get out of debt? What happens to my money after a breakup? How do I put more joy into my budgeting? This call could change your life because clarity brings peace, and peace with your money is true freedom. Savvy Ladies is a nonprofit dedicated to helping women, especially women like us, learn, plan, and reclaim control of our financial lives. So please, don't stay in silence. Go to savvyladies.org and book your free session today. You don't have to struggle alone anymore. Help is waiting for you. Beginning of the year, I'm always trying to do everything right: sleep better, eat well, move my body. But for years, I still felt exhausted. Brain fog, headaches, low energy that never fully lifted. I eventually learned that I had iron deficient anemia. And I know firsthand how quietly iron deficiency can drain your life. Even before anemia, low iron can cause fatigue, trouble focusing, irritability, and feeling like your energy is always just out of reach. That's why I'm really intentional about the iron supplement I take and why I recommend Citarol from PharmaNutra. Citarol uses patented sucrosomial technology to help your body absorb iron 3 to 4 times better than standard supplements, and without the common side effects like nausea, constipation, or a metallic taste. It's easy to swallow, it's gentle on my stomach, and something I can actually stay consistent with. If you're starting the year feeling tired or foggy despite good habits, you're not alone, and this might be the support your body needs. head to pharmanutra-us.com and use the code BGB for 10% off your first order of Citarol. That's PHARMANUTRA-US.com. Promo code BGB.
The other thing is erasing the sense of urgency that we feel around responding to people. We want to stay in a space of response versus absorption, but that doesn't mean that we need to respond to every message or call that we get. It is okay for someone to get your voicemail. It is okay for someone to get a response on social media or on text message 24 hours later if it's not an emergency. Not every message requires an immediate response. But I will tell you, when you are in carrying mode, urgency takes over. And suddenly everything feels critically important, even though probably 80% of it isn't. The third way you can do this is by learning phrases that help you stay present without fixing. This one is phenomenally hard for me, which is shocking considering I was a therapist for many years and I was good at this. In my professional life, I was really good at being like, tell me more about that versus giving an answer. But in my personal life, I was queen fix it. I still find myself doing that. If someone comes to me, I will be thinking about 3 solutions to their problems, which is interesting because that's usually gendered behavior that is associated with quote unquote men. But I will think of solutions versus just staying with the moment. And I think as Black women, we are often conditioned to fix things, not feel them. And so try practicing that sounds really hard versus advice giving. Or some variation of that is, girl, I can't imagine how that must be feeling for you. I'm really sorry you're going through that. Versus, well, what you need to do is you need to get rid of this clown, or you need to change the money to here, or actually I saw a really helpful article on this. We don't need to always fix. Sometimes people are just looking for connection. And I will tell you, as somebody who is working actively on this skill, fixing becomes the way you bypass feeling. And even though it doesn't sound like it, you're absorbing in the moment, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, when you're a fixer. You're just accumulating all these feelings. You're like letting them build up in a corner and letting them come back and haunt you months later in the form of illness or in the form of depression. They're still there, those feelings. You're bypassing with fixing. So sometimes it's better to just stay present for the moment and not fix it all. The other really powerful boundary that you can make when it comes to relationships, which is really the kind of external boundaries we're talking about here, is permission to say not now. Permission to say, I'm going to think about it for 24 hours. Let me get back to you tomorrow. We don't need to say yes to everything right away. Again, when we're in carrying mode, everything feels urgent. So everything feels like it should be a yes. But the truth is it's not. And so give yourself permission to pause. What does that look like? In practice, what are some things you can say? I'm going to step back on this so I don't burn out. Be honest. I care about you, but I am having a tough time right now. And so I want to just take a moment now and call you back tomorrow because I want to be present. I'm struggling right now. I promise you, these are uncomfortable sentences to say out loud, but they are going to save your relationships because boundaries don't mean disconnection. They are ways to make your relationships last longer. They are the tools to keep things sustainable. What about when it comes to the types of external boundaries around work and media? Those ones are really about relationships. But we all go to work and we all probably have social media attached to our phone and we all look at the news or get the news in some way, shape, or form. So this becomes often a major source of absorption for Black women, for everybody really right now. And so the best way to deal with that is to, again, get clear about what is actually yours to hold. What are we carrying? And that can sometimes mean, when it comes to work, getting curious about urgency, like red flag, 4, 5 fire alarms, or whatever the phrase is, right? Getting curious about that. Is it urgent? Not being afraid to ask yourself that question. Maybe don't ask that in team meetings or to your boss, but definitely ask it of yourself. And specifically when it comes to work, absolutely opting out of conversations before they drain you. Oftentimes, our coworkers are not our friends. And so we don't want to necessarily talk about world events, politics, the state of race relations in America in the workplace. And that's perfectly okay, because that's not actually what you're there to do. We're often not at our jobs to become our coworkers' best friends and listen to all their trauma and drama either. So it's totally okay to end a conversation before you feel worn out, and probably even more effective to do this in the workplace. When it comes to media, you know what I'm going to say there. Choosing when you take in news matters. Limiting exposure to news and the media that you take in when you're having stressful days, limiting exposure is so important. Give yourself permission to look away. I want to be clear. This is not my opinion. This is science. There is no benefit, not psychologically or physiologically, in rewatching traumatic videos. None. All it does is re-traumatize you. So watching something on a loop over and over again doesn't make you more caring, doesn't increase your connection, doesn't make you more likely to do something about it. It actually damages your body and your nervous system. Being informed doesn't require constant exposure. And if you can take one boundary from this series, it is just that you don't have to witness everything to care. You can disconnect. For me, and this is not sponsored, I recently bought a brick. There's all these different versions of things that block different apps on your phone. I got brick because it was something that allowed me to still be able to get phone calls. And I need to make sure people that are in my family can reach me when they need me at any time. But outside of that, I don't need to know what's going on in the world 24/7. And so it allows me to lock certain apps in my phone up, and I have to physically get up from where I am to unlock them. Doing that has been a game changer. I find myself far less likely to doom scroll and far more likely to do actual productive responding. Having conversations that make me feel like I am witnessing and helping and being witnessed, it allows me to recalibrate, revisit how my body is moving in the world. Just that small tool that allows me to disconnect has given me back hours in my day, has given me back a nervous system that's far less dysregulated and far less angry and frustrated all day long, and has allowed me to have more clarity in the work that I want to do. In the fact that my way of responding is this podcast. It's how I cope, and it's how I feel like I'm contributing to the world. I'm not going to be someone who does some kind of movement or sets up some kind of activation. That's not who I am. But I care about what's happening in the world, and I care about you. And so this is my contribution. This is how I respond. This is how I care about each and every one of you without carrying every single person who listens to this podcast's struggles, and without expecting you to carry mine. I care, but I cannot carry the world, because if I do, I couldn't have done the 480 episodes of this podcast. So really consider ways to detach yourself from media and set workplace boundaries to give you back clarity and peace, and keep you connected and keep you compassionate. Now, for some folks, detachment and cutoff might be the answer. So I don't want to avoid that, because I do realize that some people are in a season of cutting off toxic friendships and relationships and family members. And sometimes protection does require disengagement, particularly where relationships and spaces that you are in are actively harmful. Some people need to change jobs, even in this economy. Things are so bad, they have to detach. And I want to affirm that if you're in that place, distance or cutting people off can be its own act of care. It's just about being really clear about what relationships actually require that and what might be a stress response in a moment. There are times where cutting off is caring, and there are times where we just need to pause, and that's okay too. So as we kind of close out this episode, I want you to think about where might you be absorbing more than you need to. And once you figure out what that is, maybe it's doom scrolling, you pick one boundary that you can practice this week. Maybe it's putting your phone on airplane mode, even for just an hour. Think about what helps you stay human versus this hardened version of yourself. Remember, if we're too open and we don't protect ourselves, that is the equation for burnout. But if we are too protected and locked down and not open at all, that is a recipe for loneliness. So we want to be able to balance those things. Boundaries don't make you cold. They are going to help you stay human and compassionate. And as I've been saying all year long, our only assignment now, forget all the rest of it, is just to stay human. That's the work. Staying human in an inhumane world is the work. If you can do that, round of applause, you are successful. So try some of these practices and these boundaries and let me know if they're helping you. Okay, that's it for this episode this week. You know the drill. Like, share, subscribe to this podcast, leave a review. We are now working toward 800 reviews on Apple and 900 on Spotify. Y'all are killing it over on Spotify. Drop that 5 stars if you're a listener and you haven't yet on either platform. You don't even have to leave a message. Just let me know that you're enjoying it. It makes a difference. It is one of the easiest ways to support the financial health of this podcast, is by making sure our rating is high and that people are engaging and liking the material. This whole thing of Black Girl Burnout started out as a podcast, but really it's becoming a platform. I really dream of a world where Black Girl Burnout is a holistic 360 platform for you to get the tools to keep you human in an inhumane world from various different spaces. So to that end, it's Black Girl Burnout everywhere. On Instagram and TikTok, you can get some really brief, short, micro bursts of content to help give you inspiration and ease. If you're looking for some longer form content, then it's Black Girl Burnout on Substack and on YouTube. I'm starting a new series. It should be up right now, all about how to make life doable. Like, what are really practical tools and tips. This series is just going to be a one kind of I'm going to do 10 videos over the next 4 to 5 months where I give you all the tools. It's a toolkit. Literal practices. We're going to do a real time, literal ways to be able to get through hard times in life. The videos are no longer than 10 minutes and they're like 1 tool, 3 steps, no fluff. Substack is where you're going to get long form content. If you are a blogger person, if you like to read, Substack is where I'm going to go deeper there. And there is a low priced membership where I do monthly workshops. This means that I literally go deep with you all on tips and tools on how to make your life more manageable as well. And that's it. So until next week, take care of yourself, take care of each other. And remember, caring doesn't mean you have to carry everything.